Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I'm Andrew Scaff. He's Mike Werman. Today we're going to kick off our big NFL 2023 season preview with the quarterbacks of the NFC later in the show. And we'll talk some more about the NFL preseason and getting ready for the start of the year. But we'll lead off today's show in our kind of standard place, I guess, anyway, for right now, this time of year. With the Kansas City Royals. Kind of a mixed week. They've played a little better, seemingly. I think they went 2-4 since we spoke last.
Yeah, they had an unusual Sunday off day,
Yeah,
which has made the week a little strange. But yeah, they've for the way the Royals have been playing this year, 2-4 is actually an improvement over their season.
Yeah.
Their season average right now, the winning percentage is 322, and 2-4 would be 333. So they would be above average with a 2-4 week. But they lost tonight, close game, extra innings. They had a good comeback, but then they blew it in extras. Or maybe you could say they blew it on the base paths in the ninth inning when Blanco was thrown out at third on Salvi's game tying hit in the bottom of the ninth. But I guess Witt has been solid still. He's I think hit a grand slam.
Yep.
This evening, an inside the park, kind of iffy inside the park home run. I saw that he ran
kind of a little league type of play, but yeah, it was very fast.
He ran the bases in 14.4 seconds, which was the fourth fastest time since they've been measuring it in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I also saw he was the first person since Juan Pierre in 2005 to have 2 infield hits and an inside the park home run in the same game.
I hadn't seen that. That's pretty interesting stuff.
Do you remember Juan Pierre?
Juan Pierre, of course.
For the Florida, Miami Marlins.
Then Florida, now Miami Marlins.
Yeah. Did he play for any other?
I think he did end up going somewhere else for part of his career, but
he played his best game. So he played for the Rockies originally. 2000. He was 6th in the Rookie of the Year, and then 3 seasons Colorado, only 3 seasons in Florida. Then he played for the Cubs in 2006.
Oh, yeah.
Dodgers for 3 years through 2007, 2009. White Sox 2010 and 11. Phillies 2012. Back to Miami to end his career in 2013. Not bad. Played 4 seasons in Miami/Florida, so it was more than any other place. 599 total games I see, so 173 games more than any other city. But I think he had his best years in Miami. Fast guy, and good defender.
Yeah.
Haven't thought about him for a while.
No,
yeah. But yeah, Bobby Witt Jr. playing well, and
Michael Garcia has really solidified his, I think, spot as the leadoff hitter now. I think he's got a 17-game hitting streak after today now. So that's not so bad. So it seems like, a couple of guys have sort of taken spots. Like Bobby Witt seems to be the number 2 hitter pretty solidly now. Michael Garcia seems to be the number 1 spot in the lineup, at least anyway.
And they're both only 23 years old. So and I think traditionally we think of a major league player as kind of peaking around age 27. So they're still
typically seemingly for Royals players, some of them don't even make it to the majors until 27, 28 years old, like Freddie Fermin has.
It's true. He's
made his debut at 28, I guess, right? Or made his true rookie season now at age 28, I believe.
Yeah, he's been solid as the catcher when Sal plays in the field or a DH.
Yeah, and Sal's been kind of banged up, so he's been having to DH more and miss a few games here and there. But he's filled in well behind the plate, and it just seems like some of the bats have fallen into slots now that they're not messing with the lineup quite so much. The bullpen is still an absolute mess, and the trades of Barlow and Chapman have not helped anything. Doesn't seem like anyone's really claimed the closer role. It seemed like Carlos Hernandez kind of did, and then they moved him back out of that without any warning, and then now he's been terrible the last few appearances. So I don't know. I'm not sure about the bullpen. I think it's mostly usage, though. That's the problem, and not the players themselves. But
Yeah.
old friend, recently traded old friend Lopez, Mike, what do you think about his offensive output in his 2-game stretch? 7 hits, 8 RBIs, 5 runs scored,
5 runs scored, home run.
and
Yeah,
home run. Yes,
he was he was phenomenal those 2 games. Yes, I think earlier today or yesterday he was over 4, so he's
today.
cooled down. He's only batting 500 now for the
Yes.
Braves in 3 games. So I think we will see probably somewhere closer to his last game box score than his first 2. But if I don't know, the Braves are pretty good. They have a lot of good players, and maybe it's contagious down there.
But just because it needs to be said, 2022 and 2023 seasons combined for Nicky Lopez, 33 RBIs for Kansas City, 8 in 2 games for Atlanta. Was that disappointing?
It's yes, disappointing.
As a Royals fan, at least, anyway.
Well, we had Jorge Soler leave and become
an all-star
series hero for the Braves, and then also become an all-star this year for the Marlins. So he was really good that 1 year for the Royals. So we can't really complain too much about his 2019 season when he had 48 home runs. But yeah, I don't. I just back to the Royals. It's been quite a bit of fun in the last few weeks just to watch the younger guys finally play and kind of see what the team has going into next year. It seems like probably the Royals will bring in a bunch of old veterans that aren't any good to replace some of them and kind of start over again.
Set them back again.
Yeah.
So it looks like they have 2 more games against Seattle in the weekend series at the Cubs. What do you think their chances are here going into next week's? Oh, then next week they play at Oakland, so a chance to either add ground.
Yeah, they could
from Oakland, or allowing Oakland to catch back up. What do you think's going to happen there?
Well, I think they're 5.5 games above Oakland right now. So even if they got swept by Oakland, they'd still be only the second worst team in the American League.
There's quite a distance between second to worst and third to worst.
Yeah, they have 9. I think they're 9.5 behind the White Sox.
Yeah.
It still says that the Royals' playoff odds are less than 0.1%, so they aren't officially 0 yet. They're 39 and 82, so they can't finish better than 80 and 82 this year. Right. So they cannot finish with a winning record or even a 500 record. But they'd have to really go on a tear even just to avoid 100 losses at this point.
Yeah. So yeah, about 40 games left. 41 games left. Yeah.
Yes.
41 to go. Do you think they could finish above 500 in the final 41 games? 21 and 20.
21 and 20, that would mean they would be 60 and 102 on the year. That would be a good result at this point. They'd have to be 23 and 8, 24 and 17 to avoid, I guess, losing 100.
Yes.
So
do you think they have the 24 wins circled, like Major League style?
3 games in a row, that's a winning streak. Yeah, that kind of Doc Brown. Manager, what was it? Something Brown. Lou Brown,
yes.
Yeah, the manager. Doc Brown, of course, was
Back to the Future.
But But yeah, I think 24-17. But they do play the A's.
Yes.
The Cubs, well, they're a little over
They did
500,
pretty
but who
well.
knows? They aren't a juggernaut. The down the stretch, they probably have most. Well, they have the
They did a 3-game series with Pittsburgh the end of August.
okay,
You get the White Sox for a couple 6 games against the White Sox.
yeah, Toronto, Houston though, Cleveland, Houston. A
They
lot of
got
Houston.
some
That's 6 games against Houston. That's not good.
uh 3 against
Um,
Boston, 3 against Toronto, 3 against the Yankees to end the year. That's gonna be not so great. I don't
yeah,
think they're gonna get there, Mike. I don't know.
probably not. But I think maybe they could avoid 110 losses, like it seemed like they were definitely going to get.
But maybe they'll embrace the spoiler mentality and keep somebody out of the playoffs by winning a series just to be spiteful. What do you think about that?
Or they could maybe Boston, maybe the Yankees. Um, Although Boston and the Yankees playoff odds are getting shorter. So maybe the Blue Jays, they play the Blue Jays, so maybe they could
Yeah.
spoil them. They could spoil Cleveland
Yep.
and their attempt to get up past the Twins.
Topple the Twins. Yes.
Yeah. The Mariners, I guess, right now have some playoff odds. So if the Royals continue to play well against them, that could be sort of a spoiler. But it's a little early, I think, to be a spoiler for the Mariners since it's
Yeah.
we're only 3/4 of the way through the season right now. So
They do have 2 more games in this series with Seattle. They do play, then they play a 3-game set at Seattle.
okay, that could be a spoiler.
Too. So they've got 5 more games with Seattle before even the end of August. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But maybe that's enough about the Royals for now, and we'll
I
check
think so too.
next week.
We'll talk about them next week.
Yeah.
We did have some NFL action last week, and we had the first full week of preseason football. The Chiefs,
Actual preseason football.
actual preseason football. We didn't have the week 0 game of the Hall of Fame game, but we had all 32 teams in action. We talked about do you want to talk about the Chiefs or do you want to talk about our betting strategies and how well that worked?
I think well, you just said we had all 32 teams playing, so I think we should just do the betting thing.
All 32 teams playing. There's 16
the blanket
games.
bet that we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah, we said the over unders we thought were very low. I think none of the games were even as high as 40 points for the over under. I think 38.5 might have been the highest even or something.
38.5, 39, yeah, somewhere in there.
But we decided if we did a blanket over $100 on each of the games, we would have gotten 10 wins out of those 16 games and 1 push and 5 losses. So we would have been plus $500 for that week. We would have bet 1,600. We would have had 2,100 in our pocket, I guess minus the fees. But we would have been at quite a bit of plus money.
Yeah, about a 30% profit on one day, essentially, right? I mean, well, I guess it's a 3-day
weekend of football. Well, there might be a Thursday night game too sometimes.
Yeah.
But essentially, yeah, we would have been across the board winners overall. And then my particular Chiefs bets turned out to be very prescient. The Chiefs, when we were at least recording, the Chiefs were 3-point underdogs at New Orleans. I liked New Orleans to win, but I didn't think necessarily they would cover. So I thought maybe the Chiefs should be the money line bet. And we also went with the over on that one, and they went over. I think it was a 28-26 win that the Saints eked out with the Chris Oladokun interception and then game-ending field goal to win. So the Chiefs were up 26-25. They lost 28-26, so 54 points. I think the over/under was 37.5 or something like that. So they went way over early. Chiefs covered the spread. Saints money line came through, so we would have been 3 for 3 there. So maybe betting in the regular season is our problem, Dr. Scaff. We should be betting preseason.
Were you worried that the Saints were going to go for the touchdown though, not the field goal to win, but go for the touchdown to cover the spread? Were you concerned? Were you sweating bullets?
I wasn't
that game.
I wasn't that concerned. I wasn't I was a little bit upset that the Chiefs threw that interception, but then I remembered my bet my theoretical bet, because we didn't actually bet any money, so I
Right.
wasn't really that concerned. But it seemed like the Saints, at least once the backups got in, the Saints weren't really able to do much offensively. And the Chiefs backups played better than the Saints backups. Unfortunately, the Chiefs starters didn't play as well as the Saints starters, which is
On either side of the ball, I guess, right?
maybe a little bit worrisome. I thought, well, the defense without Chris Jones that's a great. Derek Carr seemed to carve them up in the first drive, and then the other starters that kind of were left in it scored another touchdown against the Chiefs. And then the Mahomes led Chiefs didn't even make it past midfield on their drive. But I think some of that was dumb play calling. I don't like the fourth down Blake Bell quarterback sneaks. I think that was maybe good a few years ago, but now I think just put the ball in Mahomes' hands and let him throw if you don't think he can sneak. But
did you not like seeing him scramble on that one play though? Anyway, was that worrisome?
I like the scramble. I guess I wish he had gotten a better spot, because I think he got a bad spot on that one. But he slid, he avoided contact. I think, you have to get him out and moving and doing things like that. I guess I just wish Chiefs. Partly, I think the Chiefs don't want to show anybody anything in the preseason, even more than other teams don't want to show anybody anything. So they don't really care about winning or losing, even playing well in some cases. I think the backups like to play well, but I don't think the starters really care. Unlike perhaps the Baltimore Ravens. Did you see that they won their 25th preseason game in a row?
Is that right? I didn't know that at all. Yeah, that seems crazy.
24, excuse me. They won their 24th preseason game in a row. They defeated the Eagles 20-19.
So they really go for it in preseason, huh?
They have won 24 straight games. Yeah, that's basically 6 years in a row that they would have won all of their preseason matchups.
Oh, and this was a close game too. It was 2019.
Yeah, they won 24 consecutive. They are the kings of the preseason.
Oh, and Philly went for a 2-point conversion after an interception return that failed. That would have broken the streak, but we were unsuccessful.
Yeah, they broke a preseason winning streak. They were tied with Vince Lombardi's Green Bay Packers at a 23-game preseason winning streak. Although those Packers also lost a preseason game to a college all-star team. So the Packers technically didn't win 23 in a row. They won 23 in a row against NFL opponents, but not against all opponents. So that's the Ravens. Do we have any other I guess we have still Chris Jones holding out.
Yeah, well, what did you think about the quarterback battle for the number 2, number 3 spots for the Chiefs? What did you think of their performances, Shane Buechele and Blaine Gabbert?
Well, I didn't think Gabbert did terribly, but he didn't play as well.
Right?
He played fine. I think Buechele played better, though. He had an early interception, but then had some really good kind of improvisational scrambles. Especially one of the touchdowns that he threw that Mahomes was really excited about. So maybe Buechele could possibly.
Like Crawford that made that catch, I think, was it?
Who was it?
I think Crawford, I think, was his name.
Oh, it could have been Crawford. Yeah. I hadn't heard of Crawford until I saw that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who he was.
Like a ninth, maybe receiver or something right now. Justin Ross had a touchdown catch. Nico Remigio looked pretty good. Richie James looked pretty good. So there's a lot of some good bright spots. Unfortunately, it seems like Jody Fortson has been ruled out for the entire season because of an injury in practice. A lot of it, Chiefs have been injured in practice the last couple of days. So we'll keep an eye on that. Injuries in training camp are always, happen for every team. But
yeah, a couple of receivers went down, I guess, today. Yeah, I guess Drew Tranquil had a pretty good game defensively too, with sack and quite a few tackles in and around the line, right?
Yeah, I think Tranquil is a good pickup. And I think the Chiefs linebackers look really good. I think the young secondary looks good, really good with Hailasi, not Haile Selassie, but Hailasi, and
Yes.
Khaled Hailasi, and Echo Boydo both look good as undrafted free agent cornerbacks. In coverage, Hailasi got an interception, I believe. That was
Mhm.
pretty good. So like it,
Yeah.
so the Chiefs
Nice
defense
sideline grab. Yeah, that was
in
pretty
the
good.
back end is looking really good. Up front, maybe not so much right now, but if Jones gets back, maybe that'll change.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say. The Chiefs don't really care in preseason, so it's
Yeah. At some point, yeah. How much in fines do you think Chris Jones cares about? Like, is it like you think he's got like a dollar amount in mind that he's willing to go to hold out before he 'cause he's
I
getting
think
close to
he's
like
willing.
he was getting close to like 2 million in fines, I think.
I think he's willing just to go up until the first game of the regular season and then he'll play
Yeah.
because he's probably thinking, well, if I don't get the contract, I still have a possibility of injury in preseason. I don't want that. So
Yeah.
I'll just sit out basically as much of the preseason as I can to be at least okay for the first game. And then if I don't get a contract with the Chiefs this year, I'll be a free agent next year, or maybe I can get another, maybe we can renegotiate as time goes on. But
Yeah. That seems like, I mean, it's an unimaginable amount of money for like you or I think, but to just like, you know, let go of nearly $2 million, right?
yeah,
Like, yeah, that's okay. That's not that much.
you know. Yeah, I guess we could some of other news, like some of the free agent running backs have been Ezekiel Elliott signed with the Patriots, I believe, and Dalvin Cook
Yeah.
Jets. Does that change prospects for either of those teams in your mind?
I don't think so. Probably not. No.
Seems like the Jets are loading up on offense, but
Yeah. But there's still only, I mean, they've got a lot of weapons, but they still only have one ball, I'm pretty sure is the
yeah.
hold up here, right?
And it's hard to say if those weapons are any better than what Rodgers had and in Green Bay. And
Yeah.
he didn't do so well because he had not terribly creative offensive gurus around him in Nathaniel Hackett,
Yes.
who has followed him to
Yeah.
the Jets, and Matt LaFleur also, who was not a terribly innovative. Like he was seen as an offensive guy, but like he was the Titans' offensive coordinator or something. Like it's like Matt, so like you know they didn't carve it up on offense. I think defense is still probably their strong suit, but as we've talked about, defense is a little bit harder to repeat consistently because I think the margins of error are pretty margins for error are pretty small. But I still think of the Jets as probably being the third best team in that division. At least if Tua stays relatively healthy.
The Jets did beat up on Carolina 27-0 in their first full actual preseason game. Does that change your opinion on the Jets at all?
No, I think
27-0 shutout.
yeah.
No, it means nothing at all, right?
I don't think it means much. I
Preseason
think I
game.
think I think it means the Panthers are pretty bad, and I don't think any
Yeah.
of us thought that they were any good. But I think um
And it was their Bryce Young played, looks like maybe one series.
and Rodgers didn't play at all, so it was a Zach
Yeah,
Wilson
Roger didn't
show.
play at all.
Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle got all the passing. It was Matt
Yeah.
Corral and Bryce Young were the
So they're
players.
1-3 um quarterbacks on their depth chart played, but one not very much. So
Yeah.
yeah. Does that mean anything at all then?
Yeah, I don't know how much that tells us at all. I don't know. I think we just know that Carolina is probably not going to be very good.
Yeah.
I have questions about Bryce Young. We'll talk about the quarterback situation soon.
Yeah.
But I have actually new questions about Bryce Young since I did a little research on Bryce Young's background, as we'll talk about when we get to the NFC South division. But do we
Yes.
have any other comments on preseason or the Chiefs before we move on to our quarterback
Well,
preview
so
extravaganza?
the Chiefs play this Sunday again?
But yeah, we can talk about preseason next week. They play this Sunday, I believe.
Saturday night, 7
Saturday
at
night
Arizona.
against Arizona. The Chiefs are favored by, I believe, 7.5. If you want to bet preseason football,
Yes, and we do, right?
yeah, and I think the
Because we
over
did well last week. So what are we doing this week?
the
Same
over
thing.
under is 37.5. I think I would go, and this one I would kind of go the same. In this I would go the Chiefs win, but the Cardinals cover and over. If I
Yeah.
did the trifecta, the money line would be the Cardinal, I mean, with the Chiefs, money line for the Chiefs, the spread Cardinals, and the over. And the overs were raised just ever so slightly this week. After last week, we proved that the overs were going to. And I said, I just stick with over again and see what happens. And we can
For the Chiefs game or the blanket over again?
blanket over. I want to stick with the blanket over again.
Yeah.
I think the highest over that I saw was 41 this week. So that's still
41.
pretty low.
Bills Steelers 41, looks like.
Although that seems like a game that might be under because I don't think the Bills and Steelers score that many points, at least not without Josh Allen helping you out.
Yeah.
But I still
Seahawks was a 40.5. Chiefs Cardinals is 40.
it was 40. It was 37.5 last time I saw. So that's more tune where I would
40.5. So looks like there's like 4 games that are at 40. Almost everything else is it looks like the lowest over under is 37.
Okay.
So
Let's go
stick with blanket over though.
Blanket over and see what happens.
So,
yeah. And at least this is data for future.
But it looks like the average over under is probably about 3 points higher for week 2 than week 1 of the preseason.
Possibly.
It's somewhere in that area.
But we have probably more starters playing in week 2 than in week 1. So we think that there's more capability of scoring because a lot of those backups, they're playing as backup defenses, but their backup offenses aren't as good. So sometimes the
Well, they're
defensive
probably less of the 3rd, 4th string guys.
Yeah.
Late then too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's our strategy. We'll see how it works next time and see if we should keep going, or we could still use that blanket strategy, and then we could at least say, well, if it was completely the opposite, we would know to use the other, or look at each game individually. But
yeah, because once you start picking individual games, then you're throwing a lot more variability into your picks, right? So it seems like the blanket over strategy is probably good at in this scenario, because we really don't know what anybody's going to do in the preseason. You could have a team like Carolina scoring 0 points. Doesn't contribute anything to the over under at all, right?
Yeah.
But you don't expect teams to score 0 points in a preseason game. That seems very odd.
Yeah, you don't get shut out in the preseason usually.
It's fairly rare to get shut out in a regular season game, but it seems like it'd be really bizarre to be shut out in a preseason game. Because there'd just be some kind of fluky play that would get some kind of play.
Patriots scored 9. Those are the 2 teams that scored. Oh, the 49ers only scored 7. They got blown out by the Raiders in preseason. You can know what preseason does. Do you think the Raiders are a team that's going to be able to blow out the 49ers, an NFC contender?
Yeah, Atlanta Miami was 19-3 was the final in that game too, so that's pretty low scoring.
But the Raiders pushed the 49ers pushed it over because it was a 41 because the Raiders scored a lot of points.
Yeah.
And some of those teams scored quite a few points in the second half as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that's more of like second string offenses humming, or second string, third string defenses being not so good?
Well, I think a lot of his cases third string offenses and fourth string offenses playing against third and fourth string defenses.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but I think first stringers will play more in week 2, and so probably affect things a little bit more. It's hard to say. But
for the Raiders, Have you heard of either of the quarterbacks that played in the game? Aiden O'Connell, Chase Garbers.
Aiden O'Connell sounds more he was, I remember him, he was a draft pick from Purdue, but I don't know Chase Garbers from anyone. He went to Cal, I guess. Probably undrafted free agent, but we have. I would have known who he was had we done the AFC quarterback preview this week rather than NFC quarterback preview this week. So I was focusing more of my attention on the NFC, the National Football Conference.
But we'll learn about Chase Garbers and Aiden O'Connell next week.
Next week, so you'll have to sit tight until next week for the Las Vegas Raiders fans to learn about our analysis of their quarterbacks. But we will. I guess we can go ahead and get started with
Sure.